Kristoff Malcolm, born and raised in Grand Turk. I moved from Grand Turk when I was about 3 years old here. Left here when I was 15. Very family oriented. I love my parents. Thank you to my parents for allowing me. I mean, my mom, like, come on. She let me leave her only boy, leave, and he's 15 years old to go, and try to experience a sport that they didn't know anything about. So I know it's difficult for them, especially my dad. He always wanted to teach me how to play basketball and soccer, and then I chose a sport that he had no clue about. But he always has to help me out the best way he can, So I think that's very important, and just keeping family around. I just love communications and love meeting, greeting new people, and understanding their backgrounds and heritage. I think that's very important. Well, growing up, we used to play a lot of soccer. So my dad played a lot of, so that's something he could teach me, that and basketball. So I used to play a lot of soccer, basketball, and from there, rugby, and then ended up winning a national championship with the rugby team, a national but an international championship, and hockey. For some reason, one day after soccer, they had some pancakes outside, and it was a learn to skate, and that was my way in. In order for me to get the free pancakes, I had to skate, and then I just fell in love with the sport from there. I think it was the difficulty of the sport, and it was also the adrenaline rush. I never, skating and getting that fast, and being able to be more physical, and that was something that was really intriguing to me. And just being out in the cold, something I've never, at that time, didn't experience, and I just fell in love with the sport. I used to watch YouTube videos day and night, just trying to learn some stuff. I broke a few of my mommy windows in the house shooting pucks. So yeah, it just kind of got to that point where I think this is what I wanted to do. And the main goal was definitely school and hockey. Education was probably the most important thing, especially when it came to the wire closer to college, when scouts were looking for more than just a hockey player. They needed a student as well, someone they didn't really have to worry about outside the hockey rink. That's when it became very important. British Collegiate set one of the a very solid foundation for me in terms of even moving off to school and attending other schools in Canada and stuff like that. So British Collegiate was something that I always cherish, and education here in Turks and Caicos Islands on the whole was something that was very important to me. When I first moved to Canada, I went to New Brunswick with my Uncle Jagan and my Aunt Sue. Thank you for them. They let me come in at a young age, a young teenager, exactly. And I did some classes with a figure skater at first, and just trying to get my bearings. Yeah, I just had to try and do anything to get accumulated with the ice. And I lived in different provinces in Canada, and each had their own experience. I moved to Montreal, which is different. It was an all-boys school, straight hockey. We had hockey from 7 to 11, and then we had class from 7 to 11 in the morning, and then hockey from 1 to 5, and that was every day. And we played with my teammates and everything, well, also my classmates. And then I went to Ontario, which is something similar, but that was a co-ed school, and same thing, hockey from 7 to 11, school from 7 to 11 in the morning, and then hockey in the afternoon. So after I graduated Canada, I moved to Philadelphia, which I played junior hockey. So after high school, I took 3 years off, and not off, but I just played hockey for 3 years, played junior hockey, and traveled the US and played different games. So Philadelphia for 2 years. I met some great people. I'm still in contact. Everywhere I met great people. And then I went to Wyoming for another year, which was different. Altitude is crazy. Altitude is real. Yeah. So that was very, very different and fun time as well. So great experiences all around. I understood that I was at a disadvantage from the point, but I never tried to use it as an excuse. So my first thing was I just needed to, which is very important, something that I use in my life right now, is you gotta play a role, So you gotta understand which role, and you gotta communicate with your coaches and try to understand what type of role they need you to play. And at one point, it was a role that I didn't want to be in. I had to do more physical stuff and stuff like that in order to get on these good teams, but I was willing to go through it and just handle my business. And if I wanted to stay in that role, I would have just practiced with the team and that. But I talked to my coach. It's something I didn't want to stay in, and they gave me extra skating, extra stuff like that. And that's very important. I just understanding your role and not doing too much. I understood that I shouldn't have been in that situation. It shouldn't have been on those teams and stuff. Because I played on some really good teams, and I just had to humble myself and understand that, all right, these guys here have been playing. They got an extra 12 years on me. I'm just kind of trying to get accumulated with everything, and I'm just gonna play my role and be smart and make the simple play. That's one thing that I always used to replay in my head before I game. Make the simple play, make the smart play. Once you get to that point, and then it gets to a point where once you win in games, you don't really think about that. You're just having fun, and that was one thing. It was a stress relief valve for me as well, the school. So just getting on the ice, you could just, you don't really think about nothing else but playing. I was training for my up-and-coming season, and one of my teammates who plays for Team Puerto Rico was getting ready for a tournament. And I was like, man, like, which team's gonna be there? And I saw Team Jamaica on the list, and I probably sent out about maybe 30 emails in the span of 2 weeks, just trying to get my name out there, like, hey, I play hockey in Florida. The tournament is in Florida. I can be there. I know you haven't seen me play because all the evaluation camps were in Canada, so just like, can I get a chance? And maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, I sent some video out to the general manager, and he called me and he's like, hey man, like, we want you to play. There's only one number left, and it was 13, which is actually my number. Yeah, so when that happened, I was like, all right, this is meant to be. And we went over to Florida, and it was a great time. It was a great time. Won the championship. Yeah, so this is my ring. It says the LATAM Cup. IHF, got my name, my number 13. It has our record, 5-0 in the tournament. It has Buffalo Soldiers. So this is something that I cherish on behalf of my grandmother, my mommy's mother. So yeah, this is something very important to me. Before I left, me and my dad wrote down the plan. It was never a plan A or a plan B, it was 2 plan A's. College hockey. And so this is my last semester. There are some few opportunities in the UK that has presented itself, but I'm not too sure if I'll take it. But I'm very satisfied with what I've done so far. So we just, go from here and see what happens, especially after this season. And yes, I can see myself coming back and growing the sport of hockey in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I mean, I don't think I could stay away from the sport for too long. Here in the Turks and Caicos, I think it would have to start as a grassroots program, possibly. More ball hockey, which is easier to play. You run around with the ball, and then gradually get into the ball hockey would be probably easier implemented. And then from there, you can go into the roller hockey. We have the facility right here and do that. And I believe it can go into the school system, especially if we get enough equipment down, because that's the most expensive part of it too. It's the equipment, and once we get that down, and we get the love for the game and the passion for the game, and I think a lot of people would just gravitate towards it. Yeah, and it's very important to me, and this same hockey rink gave me a lot of opportunities to travel the world and meet some great people who I cherish dearly. So I would love for other players to experience that. And there's also been a few local players that I would, if you give me a chance, would love to mention that if they would have had the opportunity, I'm pretty sure they would have done great things too. I'm talking Junior Vixamar, Sheldon Elsey, Jonas, Leonard Rene, all the Rene brothers, Anthony Cash. Those were the local guys who I looked up to when I was playing, and really good players as well. And I'm sure if they actually had the opportunity that I had and they had the passion, they could have done great things. So shout out to them, because they inspired me.